So if you're here for the first time, welcome, and I'm grateful, and welcome home. I want to thank Ahmad and Herb, because without them, we would not have our sound. So thank you. And I don't know if you've really noticed or paid attention. Sometimes we don't always pay attention. Reverend Doug and Troy are changing this church. They are cleaning it up. They are bringing it into the 21st century. And it is marvelous. And they work and work and work all the time. This is not a Sunday where they just, some ministers think, oh, well, they just show up on Sunday. This man, the two of them show up every single day, cleaning out and revamping and revitalizing this church into the vibrant church that it once was and is right now again, right? Yes, absolutely. With all the promises that it holds, because you and I are the promise, you see. So I like to start out with a little joke, and my ministry jokes are always the best, aren't they? So this is a minister who is out after his talk, not of 2 hours, but of a reasonable length of time, outside greeting his congregants. And a gentleman shows up, and he said, I haven't seen you in a long time. He said, this is the army of the Lord. Where have you been? And the man said, well, I am in the army of the Lord. And he said, well, if you're in the army of the Lord, you don't just show up on Christmas and Easter. And the man thought for a minute. He said, you don't understand. I'm in the Secret Service. There we go. Oh, anyway, we are not in the Secret Service. We are alive and we are well, and we are marvelously blessed to be in unity. Because unity, unlike so many other faiths, religions, whatever, we are a spiritual movement. We are practical Christianity. We are not about teaching about Jesus. We are teaching the practice of Jesus and how to practice all of the wonderful gifts, the miracles, and yes, miracles, that Jesus gave us the example, because what he said was, and you too can do these things, and greater. And how often we don't take that, oh, well, that's just what he said. But you too can do greater. So we are here at this incarnation, and there is no question that each one of us have shown up at this time and this place. In this incarnation, we made an agreement from all eternity to be here right now, right here, and in absolutely knowing that we are here to serve life itself. We are here to say, God, use me. The old paradigm was, God will use us. Well, yes, and we can pray to God, and this beautiful God is everywhere present. First unity principle, everywhere present. God is within, without. So instead of always thinking, I will go to this magnificent presence and always pray for what I want, what does God want of me? What does this universal presence that is everywhere, that is life itself, that holds nothing against anybody, it is pure love. That's what it is that we believe here, and that's what we believe and inculcate in each one of our lives. I am here to absolutely be the presence of God to all that I meet. Jesus said very clearly in Matthew 5:14, he said, ye are the light, and let your light so shine that all who see you are seeing the God within. That's why we incarnated into this lifetime. And one of the biggest gifts that unity gives us is it says we have choice. What a concept. We are not in a religion that says you are a sinner, you'll go to hell. It says we are the light. We have choice in every moment. And you know what that choice is? It is the choice between being in heaven or being in hell. Now, is heaven a place? Is hell a place? No, we don't believe that. But we can live in that higher realm that is the heavenly realm, that is where Jesus is and where Buddha is and where all the greats and saints and avatars are always saying, come, come. You also are the light. You also are the promise of tomorrow. Or we can live in the hell, which I have done many times, of the thoughts of judgment, of self-hate, of all of the things we can go through. Unity says to us, you have choice. That is our third principle, that we have creative choice through the power of our thoughts. So what are we thinking? What are we thinking today? Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said, man is a free agent. And isn't that a wonderful thought? We are free. We did not come in with original sin. We did not come in with some kind of a mark against us. We came in as free. Now, oftentimes in our growing up, we are not told we are free. And oftentimes we are caught in our parents' or relatives' or friends' old way of thinking of us. But that's where our freedom comes in, to know the truth of what we are, that we are not the dust of the earth. We are the light of the world. So did I read the whole thing what Charles Fillmore said? Let me read it again. Man is a free agent. He can choose what he will think and thus shape his destiny. Every moment we get to take a new thought about ourselves, a new thought about our place in the world. Now, I'm going to quote those wonderful philosophers known as the Eagles, right? In 1974, they wrote the song Already Gone. And it was so profound because they said, we live in chains and we never even know we have the key. And what is the key? The key is our choice. The key is our choice. You know, many of those musicians, I believe 4 of them with Glenn and I'm pulling a blank on his name. Anyway, many of them came from really poverty. And they caught a different vision of themselves. They didn't just think they could play music. They knew that they had something to offer other people. They elevated their thinking. They could have played in whatever on the street in Santa Monica. They elevated their thinking. We get to do the same thing. Who are we? I am God's beloved child. That is the thought for each and every one of us. Who am I? I am God's beloved choice. I am the beloved of God. I came into this world as a blessing to life itself. I came into the world for God to use me through my thoughts, through my actions, and through my deeds. What does our family see in us? What do our friends see in us? Do they see that light that Jesus said, ye are the light of the world? Let your light so shine that all who see you see the God within. So what is the key? The key is always our thinking. What are we thinking? That's a good question. Einstein once said, he said, you can never solve the problem at the level of thinking that created the problem. And I don't know about you, do you ever spin with the same problem again and again and again? We can't solve the problem there. We take it upstairs into a higher vibration. You know, in the last 10 years, more and more is being said about a higher vibration. Where do we live? Do we live here? Worry, doubt, fear. Turn on the news, talk about your vibration sinking immediately because fear sells. They're not telling us that we have choice, that we have the opportunity to do something different, that we have the opportunity through our thinking and through our acting to change the world. One candle lights up a room. Each one of us are that candle. And when we walk into a room, the room may not be dark, the room may be light, but the atmosphere within it may be dark. You might feel anger, or whatever, judgment. But when we walk in and we carry that light, knowing that I am here for God, I am here for good, and I am here to flip on that light switch to light up the room with my presence, which is reflecting the presence of God within me. Are you with me? Okay, good. Let's move right along. So the first thing is, I choose to see myself as a spiritual being. Let's say that together. I choose to see myself as a spiritual being. Now, I can run around and say, yes, I am Barbara, I am this, I am that. I am a spiritual being. Each one of us has taken on a physical body. We do physical things, we have physical jobs, but what we are underneath it all, I am a student. Yes, we are all of those things on the human realm, but we are here to infuse whatever we're doing with the presence of God. That means we are here to infuse. You can hear it in Rachel's voice this morning. You can hear it when Reverend Doug speaks. You can hear when Judy or Sandra, all of us speak. We choose to be something higher. We choose to be love in action. We choose to be forgiveness. We choose not to judge. We choose a higher level of thinking. And you know what? This is a reciprocal universe. So whatever we give out, we get back, right? It's the third law of physics. So if I'm putting out love, if I'm putting out joy, if I'm putting out grace, that light that gets me from here to there, that's what I'm going to get back. Haven't you seen people change right in front of your eyes? And when I started to change, my family was, many years ago, we were scattered, some in Los Angeles, some in Dallas, some in Missouri. When I started to change, you know, my daughter-in-law came over years ago. She wasn't my daughter-in-law at the time, but she was studying religious science, which is Center for Spiritual Living now, because her father, or her brother-in-law, was the minister down at Huntington Beach, and she was taking Science of Mind 1, which is unity teaching, basically. And she started talking, and I had no idea what this was. And she started talking about the universe and the goodness of this universe. And it changed my life. Something about what she said just in those moments, a light went on. I thought, a universe that is good, a universe that is for me, not a God that is punishing me or judging me of my past, but something is for me all the time. There is something all around us, rooting for us, saying, you know, look at yourself, see who you are. Jesus saw who he was. Could he have seen himself as a carpenter? Sure, he could have, but something within him lit up. And he felt and he knew the presence of God within him, and he became a miracle worker. Now, might we heal the leper? Might we raise the dead? Perhaps not in those terms, but we are a healing presence to all that we meet. We are, how many people have we met, or I have met, I'm sure you have met, that are just about on their last leg of hope. They have given up, families broken up, poverty, whatever their thinking is, and that we come in and say, God is for you. There's a power and a presence in life that is for you, and you can choose that thought. And when we choose that thought, we are elevated and raised into a different vibration. And the one word the universe loves more than any other is our yes. Our yes to life, our yes to being more, our yes to being that light of God to shine through each and every one of us, to all that we meet, to see ourselves, to, you know, in our classes, Louise Hay was great for this. Look in the mirror and tell yourself how much you love yourself. And I thought, oh, that is a joke. Right. Because it sounded egotistical. But that's not how she meant it. She meant it to look in the mirror and see not only your image, but the God self of you shining through. You know, that changes our whole day, doesn't it? It changes our whole day when we wake up in the morning and say, God, use me. Lead me where you need me, and I will follow. Anchor our days in seeing who you are, what you are, is this light. And if you don't light your light, and I don't light my light, it doesn't light, period. Anyway, when I started to change, my whole family changed. I had members of my family becoming sober. I had members of my family healing with each other. It was amazing what happened because the dynamic changes. So what are your thoughts going to be as we end this month of July where we've talked about freedom? Will our thoughts be about the freedom? Freedom to choose? Freedom to recognize who and what I am? Freedom to be absolutely knowing that I may be retired, I may be a teacher, I may be whatever, but underneath it all, I have a purpose, and that is to bring love and joy and grace and ease, and to see the goodness in another person. Because when we see their goodness, something elevates in them. We never have to say a word, but when we see it and we hold that space for them, they change. So we get, Moses was a shepherd. Did he see himself always as a shepherd? No, he did not, because in the burning bush, the voice of God said, where you stand, Moses, is holy ground. Where you and I stand, if we think about that, is holy ground. Because we are born to be holy. And holy can mean many things. It can be holy as in a spiritual term, or it can be whole. I am whole, perfect, and complete. I am whole. Now, I'm not only an individual person, but I see the wholeness of my spiritual self. And that's what's important. Because when we start to see that, everything changes. Our lives change. And I can attest to that. Amazing Grace, that is truly, in many ways, my story. Amazing Grace. Because that is God's gift to us. It is the light that gets us from here to there. So wherever you are today on your journey, make a commitment to see yourself differently. Make a commitment to choose, because that is our birthright, to choose, never to be locked in. Reverend Doug loves my stories. But for many years I was ambidextrous. I just was. And at the time, first of all, being left-handed was out of the question, and the right-handed. And I'd pick up a tennis racket right-handed, the next week left-handed, and drove my mother crazy, literally. And she'd say, well, if you're not have a dominant hand, you'll never be good at anything. And you know what? I believed it. That's the honest to God truth. And I would say to people, I'm never good at sports because I never know which hand to use. And I didn't. I could write with my right hand, I could print with my left hand, blah, 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 it doesn't matter. And about 25 years ago, now of course then I was only 30, but it was 20, I read an article about the blessing of being ambidextrous. I didn't know that. I was locked into a different way of thinking. Stop believing anything anybody tells you or told you in the past. You are free. We are free to choose. We are free to be here now. And we are free to absolutely stand in the awareness of this unity teaching, a spiritual movement that says, ye are the light of the world. So we go forth and we are the light of the world because we know it. We know who we are and what we're here for. So the second thing is, I choose to live in the freedom of the present moment. Let's say that. I choose to live in the freedom of the present moment, because that's the only place freedom exists. Now, is that not to say we don't get our day timer out and plan for the week or the month? Absolutely we do. But that is not to say we live in the anxiety. When we live in the past, we're living in all kinds of fear and regret and remorse. Talk about bringing your energy down. Or we can live in the present or the future and be filled with anxiety. Oh, what if? Oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Or we can live right now, because where do we find God? We find God in the present moment. Just this week, I don't know if those of you who have an iPhone, I've got all of my pictures there. And I was in the best of moods. And sometimes it'll come up and it'll say memories. And so all of these pictures came forth. of my grandchildren as little and my children, and I became so sad. Literally, tears were streaming down my face. I thought, oh, if I would have only known then what I knew now, what I know now, I could have done things so differently. Well, I had to bring myself back to the present moment. I didn't know. And now, instead of regretting, I get to be a blessing. I immediately went, this is the honest truth, because I don't say anything here that I have not done. I immediately went to prayer for each of those individuals. That was the present moment for me, seeing them as the light that they are. Not in the past of what could have been, what should have been, but right now, that's where we find God. You know, the practice of the presence of God, that's our charge, the practice of the presence of God, which is right here and right now. Now, some of you are thinking, I've got to shop, and what am I going to cook for dinner? But then we miss the moment. I can remember when we used to have wonderful tickets many years ago to the Cowboy game, when the Cowboys were winning all the time. But do y'all remember? Yes. I'm glad, me too. When Roger Staubach, oh my goodness. Anyway, I would sit there with these beautiful seats and think, what am I going to have for dinner? What are the kids doing? I miss the whole game. But now, and I hope you all do this too, I become present. And the minute I find myself wandering, my thoughts wandering, I bring myself back right to the present moment. But that also means that we have to be awake and aware of what we're thinking. You know, this beautiful story, but it is so true. When the Buddha was asked if he was an angel, he was a saint, he said, none of that. I'm awake. And that's the charge of unity. Be awake and aware of the present moment, because in the present moment is our future. Everything is contained in the present moment. Plan for the future. If you're back in the past, pray about it and come right back. Where is God? God is now. God is now. So the power of now, you know, Eckhart Tolle came a few years ago to remind us again, the power of being in the present moment. Not to dwell in the past. Not to dwell in the past. Pray about the past, pray for your families, but don't dwell in any sad memories. Our energy is so important, that high vibration, and that vibration can only be reached when we're in the present moment, when we see ourselves, when we see others for exactly who and what they are and what we are. And the last is I choose to let my life be my message. Say it with me. I choose to be, you know it better than I do. I choose to let my life be my message. And of course that comes from the story of Gandhi, wasn't it? You know, Gandhi was this, obviously we know from India, he was this little tiny, skinny, black man. Even though he was Indian, he was very dark, which people made a lot of fun of him. They threw him off a train because they thought he was black, just literally threw it off a moving train. And on top of that, he cut his own hair, or let his wife cut his hair, and he was a laughing stock. He was an attorney, but he was a laughing stock, and he had a temper. And this is all written. He and his wife would have these horrible fights. They were fighting in the yard, the anger. But he made a different choice with his life. Something within him lit up. He got to think, to see what Jesus, what Moses, what all the great saints and avatars, and what you and I are invited to see today. That within us, the God within us is so powerful and is always expressing, saying, come, come, be more. Use that yes. Yes, I am more. Yes, I am anchored right now into not who I was or who I will be, but who I am right now. And that is this presence that is here, that is always saying, you are so much more than you know. You are so much. You have such value to your life. So we are here to stand in that value. We are here to join hands with Jesus, with Buddha, with all of the great saints and avatars, and lift ourselves up, not to think of ourselves as some worm or whatever we were told in organized religion, or that we're going to hell or purgatory, whatever the story was. It's not true. The truth of it is we are here to be a blessing, to be a grace to others, and to recognize and love ourselves. Love ourselves. And doesn't that sometimes sound like how can I love myself? That's ego. It's not ego. What is not to love about ourselves? We chose to be here now in this incarnation. So go forth this last Sunday of July, knowing I am free to choose. If a thought comes up that is denigrating to myself or others, I get to choose a new thought, because I want that energy vibration. I want to vibrate at a level so high that I'm prosperous, I'm free, I'm filled with joy, and I am a living blessing to all those that I meet. Reverend Michael Beckwith, just real quickly, because I am watching my time, Reverend Doug. Reverend Michael had something on Instagram the other day, which he often talked about through the years. Did I say Reverend Michael Beckwith, for those that didn't know? And he talked about his initiation into a higher order of beings. And if any of you ever heard Reverend Michael, you just know that he never uses a note. He just channels. But anyway, I got to thinking, gosh, wouldn't it be wonderful to be initiated into a higher order of being? And then I got to think, we are. We are. Every one of us here have been anointed and raised into a higher order of being, into a higher way of thinking of ourselves, a higher way of thinking about our mission here on earth. And always remember Mission Impossible. Do you choose to accept this mission? Well, what do we say? Do we choose to accept this message to be a living blessing? Yes. Let's hear it. Yes, we do. Do we choose to be absolutely anchored in the presence of God? Yes, we do. That means that we are anchored in the presence of knowing the truth of our being, and that the life of Jesus, the life of Moses, this great universal presence within us, always is calling us, come, come. You know, you are, remember that. Ye are the light of the world. And if we don't let that light shine, it won't be shine. It will be dark. This kaleidoscope of light, each of us have our part in that mosaic. Will that light shine? Or will it be dark because we refuse to see ourselves as we are? Because we truly are in a higher order of being. So I'm just going to review one more time, then Reverend Doug, I'm sitting down. The first one, let's say it again. I am choosing to see myself as a spiritual being. I'm choosing to see myself as a spiritual being. Let's say that louder. I am choosing to see myself as a spiritual being. I choose to live in the freedom of the present moment. I choose to live in the freedom of the present moment. Because in this present moment, all is well. And the third, I choose to let my life be my message. I choose to let my life be my message. And then I will just say one more thing that came to me. What if we wrote this week about what our message is? What if we wrote this week about how we want others to remember us? Wouldn't that be interesting? That our life is our message. And that message is that we are truly, truly one with the angels and the saints and the avatars. We have been initiated into a higher life. So we go forth at the end of this July, and we know that, and we carry it. We are free to choose. God is so good all the time, right? Let's say that. God is so good all the time. Yes, and so it is. Amen.